After 8 years together, I'm conflicted about my boyfriend's 31M love. I still want to marry you, and yet I'm drawn to someone else. I feel his love, but my heart is pulling away. Can we rebuild trust despite my doubts and my growing feelings for another? I am concerned that I have damaged my good, stable, long-term relationship due to poor communication, and I do not understand why I am unable to appreciate my partner enough for making an effort to change. I am feeling very confused about the entire situation. I am a 27-year-old female, and I have been in a relationship with my boyfriend, a 31-year-old male, for 8 years at this point. We have both grown a lot together, have lived together for several years, share the best cats in the world, and I feel included in his family as well. My own family is not great, which led to many mental health issues in my younger years, so it is incredibly nice to finally have a safe place where I can be myself without too much drama. Until the end of last year, I was certain that I wanted to marry him and start a family. However, after changing jobs, I finally found joy in my career for the first time since graduating some years ago. My new coworkers are very nice. I can joke around without feeling the need to hide or conform too much, and they appreciate me as I am. This has been quite surprising, and I am very thankful to have found a job that is interesting, challenging, and where many of my coworkers are genuinely cool. I noticed that I was not as happy and free when I was at home. There seemed to be too much day-to-day stress. So I decided to reclaim the fun side of myself and be a little more carefree at home with my boyfriend. We attended a party together, had a bit to drink, and I kissed him right on the dance floor just like in the early days of our relationship. I didn't want to care about anyone else because he is mine, so why should it matter? I was pleasantly surprised to see how happy it made him. I thought we had moved past these public displays of physical affection. While I had not, I assumed he no longer liked them since we often drifted apart at parties. He had many people to talk to, so I found my own companions. This was fine, as we do not need to be together all the time, and it is nice to connect with others outside the relationship. However, it hurt a bit that we came and left together but did not spend much time together during the party. Eventually, the hurt lessened and I accepted it. I now realize that it was a big mistake. My self-esteem has not always been the best, so I assumed his lack of affection in public was because he simply did not like showing it. I should have expressed my feelings to him and taken his hand, danced with him, and communicated, "I want to be here with you today because I love you." Instead, I tried to downplay myself so he could enjoy himself. I understand how immature and unwise this was now. He did mention in the early years of our relationship that he does not like holding hands and showing affection in public. But I believe that with better communication, we could have established common ground instead of me suppressing my feelings. Due to my mental health issues, I am not always easy to be around. However, after receiving a proper diagnosis and undergoing years of therapy, we both agree that I have improved significantly. In the past, I would cry almost every weekend, which was every time we saw each other without truly understanding why. Now I have matured and healed, and we are both happier. Nonetheless, we still face some challenges regarding emotional support. He prefers peace and quiet when he is upset and does not wish to talk. While this is difficult for me, I have learned and continue to do my best to respect his boundaries. I try to let him work through it while quietly checking in to see if he needs anything, aiming not to take it personally. Although I do not always succeed, I do make an effort. I require a lot of reassurance when I have a bad day. I want to be held and for him to be present with me. I understand that it can be annoying to lie in bed while I cry and try to calm down when he had plans for the day. However, it hurts deeply when he pulls out his phone and looks at memes. I recognize that we both have attention deficit hyperactivity disorder, and this is just his way of coping, but it still hurts me and makes me feel like my mental health struggles are bothering him. We have talked about this often, and he always asks, "But what do you want me to do?" When I reply, "Please just be here with me, comfort me, and be present," because I know it will eventually pass, he seems frustrated with that response. Perhaps it was not specific enough. I do not know, maybe he became overwhelmed with my issues, which is completely understandable. I just wish he would have communicated that to me or perhaps sought out some strategies for support. At one point, I discovered that he sometimes found me a bit too much when we are with his family. He is correct. I used to inadvertently trauma dump quite a bit. I have learned to control this much better, but sometimes a story about my family slips out. When that happens, I often feel the awkwardness in the air and try to change the subject with humor. About 2 years ago, he confessed that he tries to protect me by talking over me or downplaying the situation when I do that. This ultimately led me to try to diminish myself around his mother, not being as honest as I would be with him or my friends regarding sensitive topics. I would apologize when I felt I was talking too much and so forth. Ironically, his mother later told me that she does not mind and that I do not need to be less passionate or talk less with her, as she considers me family. Writing this down is painful. My boyfriend was merely trying to protect me, but it resulted in feelings of insecurity and invalidation. We discussed this, but it seems to have left a lasting impression on me. Additionally, I often seek comfort through hugs, for instance, when I return home because I need to decompress for a moment. He is my safe haven after all. If it lasts more than about 10 seconds, he typically attempts to loosen the embrace, perhaps because he has things to do. I do not know, but it hurts me. I try to hold on a bit longer and sometimes say, please wait, give me a little more time, but he just waits it out. The same applies when he wants to play video games, which I have no issue with. We enjoy playing together after we have dinner. About 1 to 2 times a week, I request that he stay with me for a while. I do not have any plans, I just want to spend some additional time with him after a stressful workday. Sometimes he stays, but most times he does not. I have never understood this. To me, it was clear that I was expressing a need. Please do not leave me just yet, I want to spend more time with you. But from his perspective, it did not seem serious. After a significant argument a few weeks ago, he revealed that he had always thought it was a running joke between us, as if I was exaggerating when I said I missed him because he was just upstairs playing a game with a friend. While I understand his perspective, I am uncertain how to proceed beyond simply expressing my thoughts and feelings. I should have been more assertive and insisted that he stay with me for an additional 20 minutes before we both engaged in our separate hobbies. However, it felt like a series of small rejections each time, so I questioned why I should be more insistent. I stated what I wanted, so if he wanted to play video games, why would I deny him that? I never intended to become the annoying girlfriend. Then there is the issue of mental load. As I mentioned, we both have attention deficit hyperactivity disorder, so managing the household is not straightforward. I have made numerous attempts, including using apps to motivate and remind him, informing him when it is his turn, encouraging him to use calendar reminders like I do, and even suggesting that we hire a cleaner once a week, which he declined. I tried various methods to share cleaning responsibilities, agreeing on what tasks are essential during difficult brain days or weeks. For instance, the toilet should remain clean for hygiene reasons. However, it is not catastrophic if we do not vacuum for a few weeks. After one discussion on this topic, he would put in effort for about 3 to 4 weeks, then revert to the previous pattern of only me cleaning. I handle meal planning and grocery shopping online because it was frustrating when he went grocery shopping and constantly texted me asking where items were and ended up buying the wrong things. Do I really need to micromanage him, along with most cleaning and laundry? Over the 5 years we have lived here, he has never cleaned the windows, and in the last 3 years he has not once cleaned the cat fountain or changed its filter. He will say, yo, the sink is disgusting, but does nothing to resolve it. The garbage can smells okay, I appreciate that you noticed, but why not clean it up? He would often become angry when I told him it was his turn to clean. He was never angry with me, which is an important distinction, but at the situation. However, let me tell you, I became very frustrated. I do not understand why I should think for him and also make him angry, consequently upsetting myself and ruining our day. Naturally, I stopped insisting. At some point around 8 months ago, I simply ceased to care. I focused on my half of the apartment each week, created my meal plans, and prepared meals. He enjoys nearly everything I cook and likes most of it, which is great, and I managed to get my life organized somewhat. I began to rely on myself. This was also a significant mistake. I have now reached a point where I have dulled my feelings for him. I did not realize this until a coworker pointed out what was lacking in my current relationship. Now I find myself sitting here, still wanting to be with my boyfriend with whom I believed I would spend the rest of my life, yet having feelings for someone else as well. My boyfriend is aware of this. We were very close to breaking up about a month ago. Curiously, he is completely convinced that he still wants me and has promised to change, to be emotionally available to express his love, and to be an equal partner in all household responsibilities. He is following through on these commitments, has apologized for becoming complacent while I manage the majority of chores, and for also being the primary breadwinner. He is pursuing a second educational qualification, and I am immensely proud of him for that. I am pleased that he will finally feel more fulfilled in his work. He has studied hard, and I had no issues supporting him because that is what you do gladly when you love your partner. If he needs to study for exams, I do not mind picking up the bulk of the chores during that time. I enjoy doing small things, such as bringing him coffee or water so he remembers to stay hydrated while studying. However, when I start to feel that I am being taken advantage of, I become less willing to help. I do not want to be taken for granted, essentially. The challenge is that even with the efforts he has made, my heart still feels distant. I still feel secure with him, and I feel some emotion when he holds me closely in the mornings, and I see that he does this to demonstrate his willingness to change, but then those feelings fade due to disappointment. I fear that I have waited too long and my doubts may be too strong. I am at a loss regarding what to do next. I have distanced myself from the coworker as much as possible, and I am trying to create new memories with my boyfriend. However, my heart remains hesitant. Why is this happening now? He has finally shown me his unwavering support and unconditional love. He is such a loving and caring man, and I find myself doubting him. This does not seem fair to me. I am the one who developed feelings for another man, so why is he not more hesitant? Why can I not simply move on and fully commit to rebuilding this relationship? Overall, how long does it take for feelings of love to return completely? 1 month may not seem like a long time, but I am genuinely struggling with this situation. I love our cats, our apartment, the garden, his family, and I must still love him too because I cannot fathom him marrying anyone other than me. We have always been each other's person, and he is truly the only individual with whom I can be myself. I feel secure here. He undoubtedly loves me. Why then is this not easier? Story 2. Ignored by friends for months, when I tried to find out why, they laughed at my misery in a secret group chat named after me. Why do you keep coming back when we all hate you? They shouted. With just 2 months left, how do I escape this nightmare? My title is somewhat simplified. However, I am going to inform you that this is a lengthy read because there is a lot of detail. For context, I am a senior in high school, and my friends have completely ignored or severed ties with me for the past 6 months or so. I do not particularly care about them as individuals since I only have about 2 months left with them graduation, but I want to avoid making the same mistakes in the future. I have been genuinely good friends with these individuals for approximately 3 years. I invited a couple of them into the group and have taken some of them on trips. However, I tend to evade conflict or arguments by laughing them off, which may not be the best approach. To begin, towards the end of last year, my friends and I had a small party or get-together. Near the end, we went for a walk around the neighborhood. I was not in the right state of mind, if you understand what I mean, and neither were the others. One of these individuals, who I had known my entire life and was practically best friends with, started making derogatory comments about me and my family. He said some really hurtful things and then called me a coward when I refused to fight him. I explained that I did not want to because he was my friend. He approached and pushed me. I retaliated by pushing him back. He punched me, and then I punched him back. I immediately called an Uber and left. A few weeks later, unfortunately, I lost a game. I will not specify which game because if these individuals see this, it will be obvious it is me, and had to endure a punishment determined by the winners. They assigned me something that could reflect very poorly on me and potentially jeopardize my acceptance to college. I declined and requested an easier task, preferably one that would not affect my future. They told me to stop being a coward and insisted that I complete the punishment. They also decided that I would not be permitted to attend any hangouts or parties until I completed my punishment. I thought they were joking. However, I was not invited anywhere for 3 months. When I reached out online, I was left on read, ignored, or responded to with hostility, being told that I needed to fulfill my impossible punishment. They would not even speak to me at school without bringing this up, and I began to notice that they would not talk to me in person either. I was particularly upset about this, especially because although I have other friends, no one really does anything outside of school. It is just this group, so I feel somewhat trapped with them. At one point, I found it difficult to sleep because I was concerned about this situation, whether it would resolve itself, and more importantly, feeling completely ignored by individuals I had considered my best friends just a few months earlier. There were several instances when I would discover that a get-together or party was happening, ask to attend, and be told that I could not. Two of the girls in this group felt bad and tried to persuade the others to invite me, but these guys would not budge, even saying things like, "We figured you wouldn't want him here." Eventually, I was invited to a party hosted by one of these girls, and afterward, things seemed to ease up. I was invited to events, even if I had to learn about plans by overhearing these guys talk or reaching out after the hangout had already begun. However, at one of these parties, my friend opened his phone and I noticed a group chat notification from a group chat titled with my name. Everyone was included, both guys and girls. I was quite devastated. I did not reveal that I was aware of it, but over the next week, I saw people messaging in that chat. We had previously had a group chat with the same members, but it had been inactive since I stopped being invited to events. Over the past couple of weeks since I noticed this, I have picked up on certain things. They all communicated in this group chat, which is why I never hear about anything. More frustratingly, the background photo of this group chat is a picture of my face, taken at an unflattering moment when I was caught blinking and turning my head. To make matters worse, yesterday we all gathered, and I noticed that the picture was changed to one of me passed out on a couch. Returning to the narrative, things were as smooth as they could be until a couple of weeks ago. I went to the usual hangout spot, a good friend's house, after being invited as he is part of this group and probably the only one who has not treated me poorly. We were just having fun. Around midnight, when we were all feeling a bit inebriated and sitting on the couch, one of these guys stood up in front of us and began yelling at me. The guy who punched me earlier also joined in. He said things like, "Why do you hang out with us? We all hate you. And why do you keep coming back when you just get bullied?" He continued discussing how I had been excluded, but I do not recall the rest of his comments. He ultimately slapped me and made some other remarks. I took an Uber home, wrote down what I remembered from that night so I would not forget and went to bed, but not before messaging him to ask why he was being rude to me that night. I wanted to give him a chance to apologize, but I woke up to a message saying, I do not remember what happened, but what I said was the truth. This individual was my best friend for about 3 years. We got along well and had never had issues before this. One of the other guys filmed the entire incident and shared it in their group chat. One of the girls responded with laughter, asking, what did I do to make him angry? As if I had initiated the confrontation, making it seem like a regular occurrence. I know this because the guy next to me was on his phone, allowing me to see the group chat. Regarding what he said, I do not actually get bullied by these individuals. Sure, I have been left out before, but now I mostly attend everything, even if I am not involved in the planning. In person, we get along fine. It has felt somewhat strange over the past few months from my perspective, but I try to ignore it. There have been times when I show up and one of the girls will say something like, oh, my name's you came too, or oh, I did not know you were coming. We never argue or have any issues until someone has had too much to drink. They always seem happy to see me when I show up to events. At school, we say hello in the hallways. I stopped sitting with them at lunch back in January. I returned to the same place a week later, invited by the guy who lives there, a close friend of mine. They all appeared genuinely thrilled to see me, high-fiving me and asking how I was doing. Then they began drinking and the group split. Some went to grab food at a restaurant while a few stayed. I decided to stay. Apparently, that was a poor choice. I was left with the guy who fought me, along with one of my close friends mentioned earlier. The guy who fought me began talking about me, my family, and other matters. He inquired what was wrong with me. I basically stayed silent as I did not want to give him the reaction I assumed he was seeking. He then practically begged me to fight him again to earn his respect. I repeatedly declined as I noticed some people were on their phones and I feared it would be filmed, bringing no positive outcome for me. When the group that went to get food returned, we all took a walk around the neighborhood. I lingered about 20 feet behind the group to see if they would say anything. I assumed they did not think I would remember, as the two guys from earlier who claimed to hate me among other things began criticizing me. I do not believe they realized I could hear them, but they would not stop. We were out there for a solid hour and I was the only topic they discussed. To be fair, no one else said anything at all. It was just those two going back and forth, but I felt awful. I returned home shortly afterward and woke up to a video of one of them attempting to pee on my car. They ultimately did not do it. Now, with the school year approaching its end, and my friendship with all of them also nearing its conclusion, I thought I would inquire about the group chat and find out its purpose. I asked a good friend of mine, whom I have known my whole life and who has not participated in any of this while being passively involved, about the group chat. I trust this guy. He is one of the two people in this entire group I plan to keep in contact with after high school. He stated he had no knowledge of the group chat and that it does not exist, insisting they would not do something like that to me and that I was overthinking the situation. I asked another guy and he also claimed to be unaware of it, stating that it does not exist and that there is no reason it would. Two other individuals echoed this sentiment. I know these people are all involved in this. I just want to understand why I am not included and what occurs in that chat. Furthermore, I truly cannot stand these individuals. Everything seems insincere, they all appear two-faced. I do not understand why and I struggle to gather information. I cannot separate from the group because some of them genuinely like me and I receive many invitations to events. At the same time, I feel seemingly disliked by some of them, and when I ask why, I do not receive a response. I want advice on how to navigate this situation. I have not done anything to anyone in this group. I drive them around when they are unable to drive, I converse with them at school, and I used to check in on them. Currently, I detest this situation. It feels strange knowing they have a group chat without me, especially one titled with my name. Do they feel remorse? They must be aware that I know about it by now. I feel like these people simply do not take me seriously, and it fills me with bitterness. I have about 2 months remaining with these individuals. It feels odd being around people who participate in activities without me. I essentially have to pretend to be friends with these individuals, which I cannot tolerate. However, outside of this group, nothing else happens. No one engages in any activities. As a somewhat extroverted person, I need to be around others. It is fine in person, as I have mentioned, but I feel strange. If I try to resolve things by individually asking how to address my apparent problems with the group or what I did to cause the issues, they simply shut down or respond with uncertainty about what the problem is or claim they do not notice any problem. Since someone will likely suggest I stop associating with these individuals, I genuinely cannot. Some of my closest friends are in this group, so leaving is not an option. Moreover, I have invested 4 years into these relationships. Also, no one outside of this group participates in any activities. I would just be stuck at home. Recently, this situation has greatly affected my self-esteem. I am beginning to doubt myself. overly analyzing every action I take in a social setting to determine if I am behaving awkwardly and concerning myself about college, wondering if this entire situation will repeat. I genuinely need advice on how to survive the next few months. How can I get along with this group? How can I ignore their obvious issues with me? I have done nothing to deserve this treatment, and when I inquire about what went wrong, they dismiss it as if they are unsure themselves. I apologize for venting. I simply require assistance in this matter. Thank you for reading all of this. In summary, my friends have been treating me poorly for the past 5 months, and I am uncertain how to proceed or make amends with them.